Military investigators will try to determine what caused a plane crash that killed 16 service members in rural Mississippi. The KC-130 went down yesterday in a bean field. The wreckage burned overnight.
The Marine Corps says only that the refueling and transport plane experienced a mishap. Bodies were found more than a mile away from the main crash site. David Begnaud is near the site in Itabena, Mississippi. That's about 100 miles south of Memphis. David, good morning.
Nora, good morning. The Marine Corps just put out a statement 5 minutes ago confirming that this aircraft left Cherry Point, North Carolina yesterday. Now, we're being kept about 5 miles from the crash site, and part of the reason why is because you've got wreckage strewn for miles, as well as body parts. Witnesses report this plane was on fire as it fell from the sky in broad daylight. Firefighters initially responding to the wreckage report an explosion that required them to retreat for their own safety. This wreckage burned for at least 6 hours.
352, it's going to be 10-8, and route to plane fire.
When the rescue crews arrived, heavy flames and a smoldering wreckage were all that remained of the Marine Corps Reserve transport aircraft. Crews rushed to put out the fire and search for survivors. At least 16 people have been killed.
Yeah, state agents, local agents, fire department, first responders, we had a lot of agencies out.
LaFleur County official Fred Randall insists that the area around the crash site is still unsafe.
We don't want nobody out there. You have fuel everywhere, so we don't want anybody without responders in the area.
The plane is a KC-130 four-engine turboprop plane. It was being tracked by air traffic controllers in nearby Memphis, Tennessee. At 20,000 feet, it suffered a catastrophic failure, plunging out of the sky. As it started to fall, the plane went radio silent. The KC-130 can be used to refuel other planes in midair and often carries additional fuel as a result.
Military plane just wrecked.
Witnesses say the aircraft caught fire and spun as it fell. Bodies were found throughout the surrounding area. Plumes of thick black smoke could be seen for miles.
It's just scary. It's just scary because after I've seen all the black smoke, it's something, it's horrifying.
The FBI is assisting in this investigation, and since last night, the military has been rushing to get to the family members of those killed before they heard it somewhere else. Gail, from the aerial photos we've seen, parts of this plane are still largely intact, and that, from aviation experts, they have told us that would indicate that an explosion is highly unlikely in terms of what brought this plane down.
Boy, a lot of questions about what happened there. Thank you very much, David.
CBS News correspondent David Begnaud is with us now, nearby the scene in western Mississippi. David, it looks like the crash basically destroyed everything there. The fire looks so intense. What sort of impact is that going to have on the investigation, do you think?
Well, what's interesting is not all of the plane appears to have been destroyed. In other words, from the aerial picture, some of the fuselage is still intact. And aviation experts we've spoken with say that suggests that it was unlikely that an explosion is what brought down this plane. But nonetheless, you have eyewitnesses saying the plane was on fire as it plummeted to the ground. So I'm about 5 miles as the crow flies from where the crash site is. But I can tell you, we got really close to it this morning. And you could smell the jet fuel from probably, I'd say, 500 yards away.
Yeah, it's a big plane and it's a big loss. 16 people on board. I know that you said in your package that this plane is used for mid-air refueling. I've been on that sort of mission with the military. I assume this plane was transporting these 16 people. Do we know that?
Well, so that's a good question. We just found out this morning that the plane originated in Cherry Point, North Carolina. We don't know where the plane was going to. The military has been strategic, let me put it that way, in not telling us much information. They say it's because they want to do everything they can to get to the family members of these 16 people and tell them everything they know before they hear it from somebody else. But again, we waited since last night even to find out where the plane took off from. And only this morning did they say Cherry Point, North Carolina, and that's it.
All right, David Begnaud, thank you.